Because if you look at the very beginning of the book of Genesis, you look at the whole of the Bible, from cover to cover, the Bible is about God, the people, and the land. That's what it's about. God, the people, and the land. Modern scholars like E.B. Sanders or N.T. Wright, they would say that you could break it all down as using different terminology, but for the same thing, that the whole of the Bible is about monotheism, election, and eschatology. Those are big words. See, the difference between simple people and scholars is the length of the words they use. You can break down the whole Bible to those three concepts: God, the people, the land, or monotheism, which is God, just expanding on what God means. Election, that this monotheistic God chooses a people, the people, and eschatology, which is that God, the monotheistic God who chose a people for himself, ultimately will vindicate the people that he has chosen. Which, in the case when God called Abraham, what did he promise? A land. The promised land. Monotheism, election, and eschatology. God, the people, and the land. And what Jesus is saying is that blessed are the meek, those who treat each other with gentleness, strength under control, because they realize their poverty of spirit. They mourn because of the warpedness of this all, and the lack of poverty of spirit. And they have strength, and they don't wield it, but they're bridled. Those people will inherit, receive the wealth of God's promise. And who is the promised land for? God's covenant people. God's covenant people, he promised them an inheritance. And that inheritance is not later, it's now. So when it says, those who enter the kingdom of heaven, those who inherit the promises of God, are not those who are ethnically based on one tribe or one style of ethnicity, but it's for those who have the very attributes and nature of God. And those people will inherit the land. It's a beautiful thing when you realize that. That there is an inheritance for the saints. And that inheritance is both now and later. It's not just later. One of the greatest damages that is going on in Christianity is people are saying you need to give that thing up now so you can have heaven later. Listen, we give things up now because we want something greater now. The Bible doesn't say don't drink because God's boring and God doesn't like, beer pong. That might be a dated reference for some. I don't know how long beer pong's been around, but see, God doesn't want us to drink to drunkenness because he wants something greater for us now. He wants peace and joy and love, and those things don't come through beer pong. The superficiality of jocularity now actually undercuts the greater blessing of being in Christ today. And that's true for premarital sex. God isn't anti-lovemaking. He created it. And he created it to be amazing. But there's something so profound about making love in a covenant relationship where you're not in it just to get something, but you're in it to give to your spouse. And it's an act of worship when it's within the bounds of marriage, rather than the cheapening of it that our culture has done. Because our culture's focused on the physical. So just cheapen that thing down. Just undercut what it's really about. Oh, it's just about getting mine. Yeah, you're going to say, hey, I got mine. No. It's beautiful. It's the consummation of the relationship between Jesus Christ and his church, the relationship between a man and a woman. And that act in the covenant of marriage is a glorious act of worship. And that's why Christians should have the best sex in the world. Because it's so much greater than just, I just want to get my thing off. But the world is so good at undercutting it and cheapening it out. It's such an inheritance for us. God isn't saying give it up now so that, you can get heaven later. No, give it up now so you can get something really profound now. Something that will really satisfy your soul now. And that inheritance is really him, isn't it? He is the inheritance of his people. The most valuable person in the universe is ours. And not because we're meek, but because we believe in him. Not because we get it right, but because he got it right and did it on our behalf. And because he did it on our behalf, we believe in him. We've been born again. The Spirit indwells us, and he lets us relate to him over and over and over again. And he's in the process of changing us from the inside out, conforming us and making us like him. And we start to become meek. But our inheritance isn't predicated on our meekness. Our inheritance is predicated on his meekness. And we become meek in response to his meekness. We do not become meek to receive his meekness. This isn't something that we work out in and of ourselves. It's a response to him.